Your cat is changing, and the reason may be in their bowl. Your cat did not suddenly become colder. They did not wake up one morning and decide to trust you less. And that strange behavior you've been noticing lately may not be random at all. The silence feels different now. The way your cat looks at you feels unfamiliar. Maybe they started hiding more often, avoiding affection, becoming irritated for no clear reason, or staring into space with attention you cannot explain. Some cats become restless during the night. Others stop playing, stop rubbing against their owners, or begin reacting aggressively to things that never bothered them before. Most people assume it is just personality, age, or mood. But experts in feline behavior warn that sudden emotional and behavioral changes in cats often begin somewhere most owners never think to look. Inside the food bowl, what makes this disturbing is that many of the foods capable of affecting a cat's behavior are considered completely normal inside millions of homes. Small habits repeated every day can silently change the way a cat feels, physically, emotionally, and psychologically. And because cats instinctively hide discomfort, the warning signs rarely appear in obvious ways at first. Researchers who study feline nutrition and stress responses observe that certain ingredients can affect the nervous system of cats much more intensely than humans realize. Cats are biologically extremely sensitive animals. Their brains and bodies react rapidly to chemical imbalances, inflammation, poor digestion, artificial additives, and foods their system was never designed to process regularly. While humans often notice physical symptoms first, cats usually change behavior before anything else. That is why so many owners become confused. The cat suddenly seems emotionally distant. The patience disappears. The affectionate routines change. Some cats begin avoiding eye contact. Others become hypervigilant, easily startled, or strangely obsessive around food. Specialists in animal behavior explain that chronic internal discomfort can create silent stress patterns that slowly alter the way cats interact with their environment and with the humans they trust most. And the frightening part is this: most owners think they are showing love when they offer these foods. A small bite during dinner, a treat from the kitchen, something special because the cat looked interested. What feels like affection to a human may feel completely different inside a feline body. Studies from veterinary behavior centers have shown that repeated exposure to certain common foods may contribute to irritability, anxiety, sleep disruption, compulsive behavior, and even emotional withdrawal in cats over time. Your cat cannot tell you this with words, so they communicate the only way they know how, through behavior. And before this video ends, you may realize your cat has been trying to warn you for much longer than you imagined. The invisible connection between food and feline behavior. Most people believe food only affects a cat's physical health. They think the worst consequence of a bad diet is weight gain, stomach problems, or lack of energy. But feline behavior specialists explain that the connection goes much deeper than that. What a cat eats can directly affect the way they feel emotionally, how they react to the world around them, and even how they interact with the humans they love. Cats are extremely sensitive creatures. Their nervous system reacts to discomfort in ways most owners never notice at first. Unlike humans, cats do not complain openly when something feels wrong inside their body. They adapt, they suppress, they hide weakness because survival instincts still control much of their behavior. And this is why emotional and behavioral changes are often the first warning signs that something invisible is happening internally. Researchers who study feline stress responses observe that cats experiencing dietary discomfort often become emotionally different long before physical symptoms appear. Some cats become unusually quiet. Others become reactive, impatient, or distant. A cat that once slept peacefully beside its owner may suddenly start isolating itself in dark corners of the house. Another may begin waking up repeatedly during the night, pacing, staring at walls, or acting strangely alert for no apparent reason. To most people, these changes seem mysterious, but specialists in feline behavior explain that food can influence hormone balance, stress levels, digestion, sleep quality, inflammation, and neurological stability in cats. And because the feline brain is highly connected to survival instincts, Even small internal imbalances can trigger emotional changes that owners interpret as bad behavior or personality shifts. This is why two cats can react completely differently to the exact same food. One may appear normal, while another slowly develops irritability, anxiety, food obsession, or emotional withdrawal. Scientists from veterinary nutrition centers explain that some cats are far more sensitive to artificial ingredients, excessive carbohydrates, dairy products, processed treats, and flavor enhancers than most people realize. And the dangerous part is that the damage happens slowly. The cat does not suddenly collapse or become visibly sick overnight. Instead, their emotional state changes little by little. Their eyes look more tense, their reactions become unpredictable, affection becomes inconsistent. Some owners even say things like, "My cat stopped acting like themselves." What they often do not realize is that the cat may not be changing emotionally on purpose at all. Their body may simply be struggling silently every single day. And one of the next foods on this list is strongly connected to a behavior that millions of cat owners mistakenly believe is completely normal. Food number 1. The affection food that creates irritability. One of the most common mistakes cat owners make comes from a place of affection. It usually starts with a harmless moment inside the kitchen. The cat watches carefully while someone eats. They meow softly, rub against their owner's legs, and stare with those patient eyes that make people feel guilty for not sharing. Then comes the small reward. A little piece from the plate, something creamy, soft, comforting, and familiar, milk. For generations, people have associated cats with milk so naturally that most never question it. Movies, cartoons, advertisements, and even childhood stories helped create the idea that milk is almost part of a cat's identity. But specialists in feline digestion explain that adult cats are often unable to properly process lactose after they grow out of kittenhood. And while some owners only think about stomach problems, researchers observed that the effects can go much further than digestion alone. When a cat repeatedly consumes foods their body struggles to process, silent discomfort begins building internally. Mild inflammation, intestinal irritation, bloating, and digestive stress may seem small from a human perspective, but for cats, even low levels of physical discomfort can create emotional instability over time. Experts in animal behavior explain that cats experiencing chronic discomfort often become more reactive without understanding why. Their patience decreases, touch sensitivity increases. Some begin avoiding interaction after meals, others become restless, irritated, or unusually defensive in situations that never bothered them before. And because cats instinctively hide weakness, owners rarely connect these emotional changes to food. Researchers observed that stressed cats often communicate discomfort through subtle behavioral shifts instead of obvious signs of pain. A cat may begin flicking their tail more aggressively during petting. Their ears may rotate backward faster than before. Some stop tolerating physical contact for long periods. Others suddenly leave the room after eating or isolate themselves for hours. What makes this even more deceptive is that many cats continue asking for milk despite the discomfort it creates. Specialists explain that cats are strongly attracted to fat and protein smells, which can make them repeatedly seek foods that their bodies do not tolerate well. So the owner believes the cat loves it. Meanwhile, the cat's body may be fighting against it silently. Studies from veterinary nutrition experts also suggest that repeated digestive stress may increase anxiety-like behaviors in some cats because the gut and nervous system are deeply connected. When the digestive system becomes irritated frequently, stress signals can affect sleep, mood, and emotional regulation. This means the cute treat many people offer out of love may slowly contribute to the exact behaviors they later become worried about. And the disturbing part is that milk is far from the worst food on this list. One of the next foods is hidden inside products millions of cats consume every single week without their owners realizing what it may be doing to their behavior. Food number 2, the food that makes your cat emotionally distant. Few things hurt a cat. Owner more than feeling emotionally disconnected from a cat that once seemed deeply attached, the routines begin changing slowly. Your cat no longer waits for you the same way. They stop sleeping close to you. They avoid staying in the same room for long periods. Sometimes they still accept affection, but something feels different in their presence. Colder, distracted, emotionally far away. And in many homes, one hidden cause may be sitting inside ultra-processed cat treats. Experts in feline nutrition explain that many commercial treats are designed to maximize flavor and addiction-like attraction rather than support long-term emotional and neurological balance. Artificial flavor enhancers, excessive sodium, chemical preservatives, color additives, and low-quality fats can overstimulate a cat's nervous system while simultaneously creating silent physical stress inside the body. The frightening part is that owners usually interpret the cat's excitement around these treats as proof that they are healthy or emotionally beneficial. But researchers who study feline feeding behavior observed something very different. Cats can become intensely attracted to certain flavor combinations even when the ingredients themselves increase stress responses, digestive discomfort, or behavioral instability over time. In other words, desire does not always mean well-being. And this is where emotional distance can begin appearing. Specialists in animal behavior explain that cats under chronic internal stress often reduce social interaction as a form of self. Unlike dogs, cats rarely seek constant reassurance when discomfort builds inside the body. Many instead withdraw emotionally and reduce unnecessary interaction to conserve energy and avoid overstimulation. This means the cat may not be rejecting you personally, they may simply be trying to cope silently with how they feel physically. Some owners notice their cat becoming less tolerant of touch after eating certain treats regularly. Others observe sudden changes in sleep patterns, nighttime restlessness, reduced interest in play, or unusual emotional inconsistency. A cat that once followed its owner everywhere may suddenly spend more time alone under beds, inside closets, or watching from a distance without engaging the same way. Researchers from veterinary behavior centers explain that highly processed foods may also affect the gut-brain connection in sensitive cats. And because emotional regulation in animals is closely linked to neurological and digestive stability, repeated exposure to poor-quality ingredients can gradually influence mood, stress, sensitivity, and social behavior. The saddest part is that many owners react to this emotional withdrawal by offering even more treats, believing the cat simply needs extra affection, without realizing the treats themselves may be part of the problem. And there is one sentence feline behavior specialists repeat often when studying emotionally distant cats. Sometimes the cat did not stop loving the owner. The cat simply stopped feeling safe and balanced inside its own body. And the next food on this list may explain why some cats suddenly become aggressive, seemingly without warning. Food number 3, the hidden trigger for aggressive behavior. One of the most confusing experiences for any cat owner is seeing a normally calm cat suddenly become aggressive. A cat that once tolerated touch now bites without warning. A simple movement near the food bowl triggers tension. Petting sessions end with sharp tail flicks, flattened ears, dilated pupils, or sudden attacks that seem to come out of nowhere. Most people believe these reactions are purely emotional or territorial. But researchers who study feline behavior explain that certain foods can silently increase physical discomfort and neurological stress levels in ways that dramatically affect how a cat reacts to the world around them. One of the biggest hidden triggers is processed human food, rich in salt, seasoning, oils, and artificial additives. Small pieces of ham, sausage, chips, fried meat, processed chicken, fast food leftovers, or heavily seasoned table scraps are commonly offered to cats because owners think it's just a tiny bite. But specialists warn that even small amounts of highly processed food can overwhelm a cat's biological system much more intensely than most people imagine. Cats are obligate carnivores. Their bodies were designed for simple, animal-based nutrition, not chemically complex processed foods filled with sodium, preservatives, flavor enhancers, and artificial ingredients. Veterinary nutrition experts explain that excessive salt and additives may contribute to dehydration, digestive irritation, inflammation, and elevated stress responses inside the body. And stressed bodies create stressed behavior. Researchers observed that cats experiencing chronic internal discomfort often become hyperreactive to stimulation. Sounds feel more irritating. Touch feels less tolerable. Movement becomes harder to predict emotionally. The nervous system remains in a heightened defensive state, almost as if the cat is constantly prepared for danger. This is why some cats suddenly lash out after being touched in certain areas. Others become possessive around food or display aggression after meals. Some develop unpredictable mood swings that owners mistake for attitude or personality changes, but behavior specialists explain something important. Aggression in cats is often not cruelty, it is survival communication. A cat whose body feels inflamed, overstimulated, or internally stressed may react defensively simply because their nervous system no longer feels regulated. And because cats cannot explain discomfort verbally, their behavior becomes the message. Many owners never realize the connection because the aggression rarely appears immediately after the food. The effects build slowly through repeated exposure. Little by little, the cat becomes more sensitive, more tense, more reactive. Studies from animal behavior researchers also suggest that highly processed foods may interfere with healthy sleep cycles in cats, increasing nighttime agitation and reducing emotional recovery. That constant internal imbalance can eventually affect trust, patience, and emotional stability inside the home. And what makes this even more dangerous is that the next food on this list does not just create stress. Experts believe it can actually change a cat's natural instincts and relationship with food itself. Food number 4, the silent addiction that changes your cat's instincts. There is a type of food that many cats become obsessed with so intensely that owners mistake the reaction for happiness. The cat hears the package from another room and immediately runs toward the kitchen. They begin meowing constantly, circling their owner's legs, scratching cabinets, staring at feeding areas for long periods, and acting almost desperate for more. Most people think this means the food is irresistible because it is good. But feline nutrition specialists warn that some highly processed dry foods and flavored treats are specifically engineered to overstimulate a cat's reward system. And over time, that stimulation can begin changing natural feline behavior in disturbing ways. Researchers who study feeding behavior observed that certain artificial flavor coatings sprayed onto low-quality kibble may create compulsive eating patterns. Similar to behavioral addiction, responses seen in other animals, cats exposed repeatedly to these foods may become fixated on the stimulation instead of eating according to natural hunger instincts. This is where many owners begin noticing strange emotional changes without understanding the cause. The cat becomes impatient around food, their anxiety increases near feeding times. Some wake their owners repeatedly during the night, demanding more. Others begin rejecting healthier food completely, even when hungry. Some cats appear emotionally unstable whenever the food routine changes slightly. Experts in animal behavior explain that cats rely heavily on instinctual patterns for emotional balance. Hunting behavior, controlled feeding responses, curiosity, and environmental exploration are deeply connected to feline mental health. But when food becomes an artificial neurological reward rather than a natural biological process, those instincts can slowly become distorted. In simple terms, the cat stops behaving naturally around food. And once that happens, the emotional consequences often spread into other areas of behavior. Researchers observed that food-obsessed cats may become more frustrated, more vocal, more reactive, and less emotionally regulated overall. Some lose interest in play because the brain becomes overly focused on artificial food stimulation. Others become emotionally dependent on feeding rituals and show signs of stress whenever those expectations are not immediately satisfied. Some owners even describe a strange look in their cat's eyes during these moments: intense staring, sudden agitation, constant anticipation. Behavior specialists explain that chronic overstimulation of reward pathways may create cycles of emotional tension inside sensitive cats. Instead of feeling calm after eating, the cat remains mentally fixated on seeking more stimulation. And because many processed foods are low in true biological satisfaction despite being extremely stimulating, the cat's instincts remain trapped in a state of constant pursuit. This creates one of the saddest transformations experts observe in modern domestic cats. The animal slowly loses part of the calm, instinctual rhythm nature designed for them. And the most shocking part is that the final food on this list is still considered healthy by millions of people who offer it to their cats every single day without questioning the long-term emotional effects it may cause. Food number 5. The food millions of people give daily without knowing. It damages their cat's mind. This may be the most shocking food on the entire list because almost nobody questions it. In fact, many people proudly give it to their cats, believing they are doing something healthy, natural, and full of love. Tuna, for decades. Tuna has been associated with happy cats. Advertisements helped create the image of cats becoming excited the moment they smell it. Owners see the reaction and assume it must be one of the best foods they can offer. And yes, cats are naturally attracted to the strong smell and intense flavor of fish, but specialists in feline nutrition warn that excessive tuna consumption can quietly create behavioral and neurological problems most people never connect to the food itself. The danger begins with imbalance. Researchers explain that tuna alone does not provide the complete nutritional balance cats need regularly. When given too often, especially canned tuna made for humans, it may contribute to nutritional deficiencies, excessive mercury exposure over time, sodium overload, and unhealthy dependency behaviors. But what disturbs experts the most is the emotional effect some cats begin developing around it. Behavior specialists observed that cats repeatedly exposed to highly stimulating foods like tuna can become unusually obsessive, demanding, emotionally reactive, and resistant to healthier balanced nutrition. Some cats begin rejecting normal meals completely. Others become intensely vocal, impatient, or agitated whenever tuna is not available. And because owners often respond by offering even more tuna to calm the behavior, the cycle becomes stronger. Veterinary researchers also explain that certain fish-heavy diets may contribute to hyperactivity and nervous system imbalance in sensitive cats when consumed excessively without proper nutritional balance. Over time, this can affect sleep quality, stress regulation, emotional consistency, and overall behavioral stability. Some owners notice their cat becoming strangely fixated on the kitchen. Others describe sudden frustration during feeding times, restless pacing, excessive meowing, or emotional mood swings that seem impossible to explain. And perhaps the saddest part is this. Many cats become emotionally trapped between instinct and discomfort. Their brain craves the intense stimulation of the food, while their body slowly struggles with the consequences. Experts compare this pattern to compulsive reward-seeking behavior observed in other animals exposed to overstimulating food systems. This is why some cats seem emotionally different over time without owners understanding why. The cat becomes harder to satisfy, less patient, more reactive, less connected to natural routines. And because tuna is culturally viewed as a perfect cat food, almost nobody suspects it could quietly contribute to emotional imbalance when offered excessively. Your cat may have been trying to communicate this for years through small behavioral changes. You never learned to interpret the strange staring, the agitation near food, the emotional distance, the nighttime restlessness, the irritability that seemed to appear from nowhere. Sometimes the problem was never your cat's personality. Sometimes the problem was what their body was silently fighting every single day. The signs your cat may already be affected. By this point, many people start replaying memories in their minds. The strange behaviors that once seemed random suddenly begin connecting together in a way that feels impossible to ignore. And the truth is that cats rarely experience emotional imbalance without leaving subtle signs behind first. The problem is that most owners were never taught how to recognize them. Experts in feline behavior explain that cats communicate emotional and physical discomfort through changes in routine, posture, reactions, sleep patterns, and social behavior long before serious illness becomes visible. But because these changes usually happen slowly, people adapt to them without realizing the cat is silently changing. One of the first signs researchers often observe is a change in the cat's eyes and attention. The cat may begin staring longer than usual, watching the environment with unusual tension, or appearing mentally distant even while physically present. Some owners describe the feeling as if the cat is there, but emotionally somewhere else. Another common sign is emotional withdrawal. A cat that once followed you through the house may begin isolating itself more often. Some stop sleeping close to their owners, others tolerate affection for shorter periods before suddenly leaving. Specialists explain that cats experiencing chronic internal stress often reduce social interaction instinctively because overstimulation becomes emotionally exhausting. Irritability is another warning many people misunderstand. The tail flicks become sharper, the reactions faster. Small noises trigger exaggerated responses. Some cats suddenly hate being touched in areas they previously enjoyed. Others begin biting or scratching during moments that once felt peaceful and affectionate. Researchers also observed that emotionally stressed cats often experience changes in sleep behavior. Some become hyperactive during the night because their nervous system struggles to fully relax. Others sleep excessively, almost as if trying to escape stimulation altogether. And then there are the strange food-related behaviors. Obsessive staring near the kitchen, anxiety before feeding time, sudden frustration around empty bowls, refusing healthier meals while desperately demanding processed treats or specific foods. Experts explain that these patterns may reflect neurological overstimulation rather than simple preference. One of the saddest signs is when a cat slowly loses interest in natural feline behavior itself. Less curiosity, less playfulness, less exploration, less emotional engagement with the environment. The cat still exists physically inside the home, but emotionally something feels dimmer than before. Behavior specialists warn that many owners mistakenly interpret these signs as aging, stubbornness, personality, or independence, but in some cases, the cat may simply be adapting to silent daily discomfort, the only way they know how. And once you begin seeing these signals clearly, it becomes impossible to ignore one painful truth. Your cat may have been asking for help in silence for a very long time. Your cat can't choose what they eat. You do. Your cat depends on you for almost everything in life: safety, shelter, protection, comfort, trust, and most importantly, the food placed inside that bowl every single day. That is why this subject matters far more than most people realize. Because cats do not have the ability to question what they are eating, they cannot read labels, they cannot explain discomfort, they cannot tell you when something is affecting their body, their emotions, or the way they experience the world around them. So they communicate the only way nature allowed them to communicate, through behavior. Experts in feline behavior explain that cats are constantly sending silent emotional signals through posture, sleep patterns, eye contact, routines, reactions, and subtle daily habits. The problem is that humans often wait for dramatic symptoms before taking those signals seriously. But long before physical illness becomes visible, the emotional balance of the cat may already be changing quietly. And sometimes the difference begins with something that seemed completely harmless. A treat offered with love. A small habit repeated every day. A food associated with comfort, reward, or affection. Most owners never imagined that these choices could slowly influence anxiety levels, irritability, sleep quality, emotional stability, or social behavior inside such sensitive animals. But researchers who study feline stress and nutrition continue observing the same pattern repeatedly. When the body feels wrong, behavior changes first. Not because the cat wants to become distant, not because they suddenly stopped loving their owner, but because survival instincts force cats to adapt silently to discomfort they do not understand themselves. And perhaps this is the hardest truth for many people to accept. Some cats spend years trying to communicate emotional distress through tiny behavioral changes, while everyone around them assumes that's just how cats are. The staring, the hiding, the irritability, the sudden aggression, the emotional withdrawal, the obsession with food, the nighttime restlessness, the silence that slowly feels heavier inside the house. Your cat may have been trying to explain something through all of it. Specialists in animal behavior often say that caring for a cat is not only about feeding them enough, it is about understanding what their body was biologically designed to handle and respecting the emotional consequences. When that balance is ignored, and the beautiful part is this: cats are incredibly resilient animals. In many cases, when the source of stress is removed and healthier routines return, owners begin noticing remarkable emotional changes. Some cats become calmer, more affectionate, more playful, more emotionally present again. Almost as if their true personality slowly comes back. Because sometimes the cat that seemed cold, distant, irritated, or emotionally different was never truly changing as an animal. They were simply surviving something their body had been fighting in silence every single day.